So we've just had the go home show for Monday Night Raw going into TLC. It wasn't great, but we're going to review it anyway. This is your Raw review. What's up, Maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. And today we are talking about Monday Night Raw. Like I said in the intro, this show was not great. And you know me, I always try to pick out some positives, which I'll try to do today, but it was difficult. This show wasn't very good, especially as a TLC. I think it done some good things towards TLC and others. It just was like, well, what's going to happen at the pay-per-view? But we'll try and make sense of it all in just a sec, so stay tuned. Right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that is WWE and AEW, so if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I upload a new video. And whether you're watching on Facebook or watching on YouTube, please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, give us a like. We thoroughly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into this Raw review. So the show started with Miz in the middle of the ring, the nightmare before TLC. This was like a storybook kind of pantomime-ish kind of segment, if you want to put it like that. And it was decent. You know, he was basically telling the story of what's going to happen at TLC. AJ Styles is going to be there, and AJ Styles was there playing himself, whilst John Morrison was playing Drew, but it was more like a scene from Braveheart, and how AJ Styles is going to slay Drew McIntyre and climb up the ladder and retrieve the WWE Championship. But plot twist, because Miz has still got the money in the bank, and Miz might pin AJ Styles to become WWE champion. Like, it was okay. This is the kind of segment that, you know, if this was on AEW, it might be done better, but I'm personally still not really into, and people would have raved about it if this was on AEW, but it was all right. It was nothing special. Sheamus came out to kind of nip it in the bud, and he cleared the ring of Miz and Morrison and all that kind of stuff. And he was going to have a match scheduled with AJ on the night anyway. So this pretty much kick-started it. So yeah, this opening segment, you know, they've done a little bit of play acting and all of that kind of stuff. But it's not for me. But it was decently delivered, if you see what I mean. I can't poo-poo it too much. But yeah, if we get into, you know, Sheamus versus AJ Styles, this was a pretty decent match, to be fair. Probably second best match of the night, or best segment. Maybe, to be honest, this is the best match of the night, I think. It was very hard hitting, as you know, Sheamus matches have been, especially in recent times. Sheamus has really impressed me since he's come over to Raw with some of the performances he's put in. Obviously we had almost on the outside, you know, basically giving Sheamus something extra to think about. Throughout the match, AJ Styles worked on the left leg of Sheamus, and you know, there was a calf crusher attempt which Sheamus reached the bottom rope and got out of, but in the end AJ Styles got the win. He rolled up Sheamus, stacked him high, got the 3 count, but that wasn't it, because after the match, with almost his help to get chairs and stuff like that, Sheamus got caught up in the ropes, and AJ Styles literally beat the hell out of him in the ropes with a chair, repeatedly, just kept hitting him and kicking him and hitting him with a chair. And I guess we were all waiting for was to see if Drew McIntyre would come down. I think this might be the second or third occasion where Sheamus is actually getting beaten up like this, and there's been no, you know, appearance from Drew McIntyre, which is, I'm sure, going to play into the story of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. So yeah, that was pretty interesting to see that unfold. But first match on the night, AJ Styles got the pin. So yeah, AJ Styles was still going to have another segment and so on to play. You know, there was going to be an ascension ceremony in this show. The belt being, you know, suspended above the ring in preparation for TLC on the weekend. So we was going to see AJ Styles later on in the night as well. Next up, we had the New Day and Jeff Hardy versus the Hurt Business guys, apart from MVP. Now, later on in the night, we were going to get Matt Riddle versus MVP. Jeff Hardy has nothing to do with this feud, right? The New Day and Hurt Business, but Matt Riddle has been, involved with Bobby Lashley and MVP. So why wasn't it Riddle and New Day versus Hurt Business? And then you wouldn't need to have Riddle and MVP later on during the night. Just a bit of, gaps in knowledge or gaps in common sense, should I call it. This was a decent match, I think it wasn't as intense and quick paced and as the New Day Hurt Business matches have been, because this is a 6-man tag. It had some other elements that maybe slow it down. Generally, Bobby Lashley has a slower, more methodical pace, so that slowed it down a bit. But it was great to see his power within this match that was demonstrated quite a bit. Again, we saw, the Cedric, this character of his, just this exuberant young guy sort of thing shining through in this match. And he basically gave Bobby Lashley the assist in putting away Jeff Hardy. And when Jeff Hardy tapped to the Hurt Lock from Bobby Lashley, you saw Cedric Alexander really just jump up and become alive as the rest of the Hurt Business guys got into the ring and assembled in the middle of the ring. Cedric Alexander was up on the turnbuckle like, yes, I did it and everything, we're going to TLC. He was just losing his mind. And it's so crazy. MVP told him to come back down, get back in line, relax. I just love the way that Shelton Benjamin just looks at this guy like every week. He's like, are you all right? Like, it's really, really interesting to see what they're going to do with Cedric Alexander and this character he's developing within the Hurt Business. But Cedric Alexander has been the cause of New Day's fall in recent times, especially in the last couple of singles matches in this particular tag match. I'm thinking that Hurt Business need to take the tag titles at this point from the New Day. I think it's about time, and let them all stand together with all the titles. Even when they were coming down to the ring, I was looking at Bobby Lashley. I'm thinking this faction looks so great. Bobby Lashley needs the world title around his waist, man. That's what's missing. That is what's missing for me. After this weekend, it looks like they might have, apart from the world title, they might have all the rest of the men's belts on Raw, but they look so impressive. They carry themselves so well. Yeah, you just think there should definitely be a world championship belt in that camp. But yeah, I mean, moving on, for next up on the show, we had Lana versus Nia Jax. So this is where the show began to take a turn for me personally. Backstage, we had Asuka kind of gearing up Lana like she did last week. You can beat Nia Jax, you can do it. Lana comes out, Nia Jax comes out, and we see Lana looking very scared, like not very sure that she can do this. The match started, Lana tried to get offense in. Nia Jax more or less just knocked her back, batted her down every time. In the end, however, Lana gets the win, completely pinning Nia Jax. Like, the pin was so deep, there was no way that Nia Jax could have popped out of it, and one of these kind of roll up pin positions. Lana pins Nia Jax, right? Nia Jax is a former women's champion. This is basically the blow off for everything that's been happening to Lana over the past 2-3 months, going through a table 9 times in a row on every show. I just thought it was just given away on a meaningless Raw show, basically. No real hype built up around the fact that she won it, because straight after she winning the match, Shayna Basler had then attacked Asuka backstage. Nia Jax had attacked Lana in the ring. Those two came down and basically laid an attack on Lana, damaging her leg. And Asuka eventually came in and made the save, but apparently Lana is now out of TLC match. So there's obviously meant to be the women's tag team match at TLC with the tag titles on the line, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus Lana and Asuka. Lana is out, and Asuka needs to find herself a partner because the match is still going ahead, it looks like. So yeah, I think we're going to circle back around to this afterwards, but I just feel that for what is meant to be such a big moment of Lana winning this, beating this bully that's got one over on her, literally for most nights over the last 3 months, he was just kind of brushed over. The minute she got the win, she more or less got attacked, and that's it. So that kind of babyface success underdog moment, she didn't really get to celebrate it, which I just think this was all a bit pointless then. But hey, what could we say? Right. So next up on the show, we had a very interesting segment. Well, I won't even lie, it wasn't interesting, but it was particularly interesting to see somebody that was in the segment. This was an Elias segment where he came down to the ring. He's strumming the guitar and he's gonna tell us, he's about to sing a song. That's what usually happens. Instead, this time he said, look, I'm sick of people interrupting me and all of this kind of stuff. So he basically got a bodyguard to prevent that from happening in the future. Cue his bodyguard, Jackson Riker. Didn't expect to see him back on TV, especially with all the rumors about, he's going to even get released. They've completely split Forgotten Sons. The other Forgotten Sons guys, we see them on SmackDown doing Baron Corbin's bidding right now. And Jackson Riker has been put with Elias. Don't know if this is going to help Elias. I'll tell you that for sure. Don't know if this is going to help Jackson Riker either, to be completely honest. But hey, here he is. It looks like they're gonna use him, and he was there to stop all interruptions. There was an interruption from R-Truth and the whole 24/7 championship gang. Jackson Riker, who did he lay out? I can't remember who he laid out from that whole, everyone chasing R-Truth. But yeah, physical stature and everything, I've always been impressed by Jackson Riker. I think he's a typical looking WWE kind of guy that they like, but obviously with all the mad stuff he said on Twitter, I'm surprised to see him back. So let me know down below in the comments what you think of Jackson Riker getting an opportunity back on TV. But this segment again just fell flat. I think it was more or less just to reintroduce Jackson Riker rather than anything else. It wasn't a great segment at all. Moving on, we had a handicap match between Keith Lee, John Morrison, and The Miz. Obviously, Miz and Morrison on one team. One thing I didn't really see, and I'm not sure if this was enforced or not. I might have missed it, but there was no tagging. This was literally just a handicap match, like both men in the ring. Did I get that right? Because I'm pretty sure Miz and Morrison were both in the ring for the majority of the match at the same time. And despite this, we still saw loads of feats of strength by Keith Lee. He wasn't phased really that he had to take on two guys until they got one over on him. He went and caught John Morrison at one point when John Morrison tried to do like some type of crossbody onto Keith Lee. Miz gave him a chop block down from his knee, so John Morrison was now on top of Keith Lee. Miz stacked on top of John Morrison, and those guys got the win after the 3 count. So they left the ring completely laughing at Keith Lee like we got one over, and you said that we weren't gonna win. Keith Lee was visibly annoyed by this. We are still kind of talking about Keith Lee and his character and the direction he's gonna go in. We heard this past week that Keith Lee's been sent to the performance center to train on his ability, which is a bit crazy. Some people have reported that Keith Lee was actually sent there to train the other guys that were there. I personally believe if he was sent down to the performance center, maybe it's to work on his conditioning rather than his actual ability. But be interesting to hear what you guys have to say on the matter. But Keith Lee and his booking since he's come to the main roster has not been great, especially where NXT have, struggled with their champions. Karrion Kross got injured. Finn Balor got injured. This is someone that could have been there the whole time. Didn't have to rush him up to the main roster. So, yeah, a bit of a mess in my opinion, but we move. So, guys, we had a segment of Bray Wyatt and his puppets from the Firefly Funhouse having a field trip to the Thunderdome. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying today's video, please make sure you smash the like button, give us a thumbs up. It's thoroughly appreciated right here at WrestleManiac UK, and it does loads for the channel. So please hit the thumbs up button. Thank you very much. Next up on the show, like I said, the Firefly Funhouse guys, the Puppets and Bray Wyatt were coming down to the arena. And Bray Wyatt basically cut a promo saying that, look, Randy, I'm going to beat you at TLC. He is going to beat you at TLC. You're not going to stand a chance. And then he began to tell some jokes with the puppets that were at ringside. Jokes based on the Viper and playing words on the Viper and snakes and all of this kind of stuff. The jokes were so bad that you just had to laugh. Like it was one of those ones. And Bray Wyatt's hysterical laugh as well. That was pretty entertaining. But next up, we had on the Titron, Randy Orton said, "Look, Bray, you know, I had one over on you, but the Fiend got involved, blah blah blah. But you know, let's play a game. Let's play a game of hide and seek." And he said, you know, come and find me, basically. And Bray Wyatt said, you know, I can't help but playing a game. You know me, I like playing games and stuff like that. So Bray Wyatt left the ring area to go and seek Randy Orton. I personally think that this segment should have been done in the Firefly Funhouse, with Randy Orton finally finding the Firefly Funhouse, poking his head in and telling Bray, you know, let's play hide and seek, which would have drawn Bray out of the Firefly Funhouse. I don't think this segment quite worked with it being in the arena. Especially because Randy Orton never came to the arena as well to like stand face to face with Bray. So yeah, maybe they should have just left Bray in his actual environment, being the Firefly Funhouse. But yeah, I guess, in fact, let's just finish up. I'll leave it till later to the order of what happened in the show. So, like I said, Bray went to find Randy Orton. Next up on the show, we had Ricochet versus Mace, Mace of Retribution, and this is Ali, you know, still getting or trying to get Ricochet to sign up with Retribution. This was a bit of a nothing match, which didn't last very long at all. We saw, as Ricochet was in the ascendancy, Ali sent Slapjack out to kind of cause a distraction. Ricochet fought him off. Ali sent T-Bar out to kind of cause a distraction. Ricochet fought him off, but then Mace got the best of Ricochet. I'm not sure what his finishing move is, but he put Ricochet away 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of Retribution got inside the ring, held up Ricochet, and basically said, you know, Ali said, this isn't over until you join us, sort of thing. So this was quite disappointing for me. As I watched Ricochet come down to the ring, I just thought, man, you know, I first got my first sight on Ricochet, you know, when he was on PWG, when he was in Japan, and I'm just thinking, you know, Wrestle Kingdom's coming up, and it's like, this guy's just not being used to his full potential at all. Like, what is this storyline? And not just Ricochet, all of the guys involved in this. Like, what is this? It's just really, really disappointing for me. They got to do better, man. They really just have to do better with some of these segments and storylines. Next up on the show, again, this is just a nothing match out of nowhere, which was scheduled. Dana Brooke versus Shayna Basler. The match, again, didn't last long at all before Nia Jax just got involved, blatantly hit Dana Brooke in front of the referee. So obviously the match got thrown out. It ended in a no contest or disqualification. We had these guys beating up Dana Brooke now. And I think Asuka then came out to make the save on behalf of Dana Brooke. And then they were getting the best of her. And then we had the return of Mandy Rose, who was obviously, well, I say obviously, I think she self-inflicted herself during that segment with Nia Jax. People blame Nia Jax, but I think it was Mandy's fault. But she's back. She came wielding a kendo stick, and she came into the arena hitting these guys with it and helped fight them off alongside Asuka to protect her tag partner, if you like, Dana Brooke. Going back to the women's tag team match now, I personally think Asuka should just give up her position in the match and let Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose fight for the women's tag team championships. Asuka is not a tag competitor. Asuka is the women's champion on Raw, although she's not being treated like it. There is no point getting someone else, which isn't Lana, out of this. You know, Lana was in this storyline to fight with Asuka for this title. It made sense at the time. But there isn't any point, you know, either one of these women, Mandy Rose or Dana Brooke, joining Asuka for this match. There isn't a point bringing in someone or calling up somebody from NXT or something to come and tag with Asuka. I mean, unless they want to call up Io Shirai. If they call up Io Shirai, I don't mind watching that match. I don't know how it would end, but I think they should just surrender. Asuka should surrender the position to Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose and let them fight for the women's tag team championships on TLC on Sunday. That's what I think. You guys let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, even Asuka, they need to treat better. They need to find something better for her. Maybe as of next month, the Royal Rumble, we're going to see the return of maybe Charlotte Flair or a big call up, maybe a big signee, Tessa Blanchard. But we shall see. So yeah, moving on, we go back to Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, and you know the whole hide and seek stuff is going on in and around the arena. Bray Wyatt is looking for Randy Orton and is eventually lured into this room or this area where he sees, you know, that old rocking chair that he used to have, and he sits in the rocking chair, but he doesn't see in the shadows that Randy Orton is lurking. Randy Orton attacks him and these guys start fighting. Randy Orton eventually puts Bray Wyatt into this box that's in the middle of this room or this area. There's a petrol can conveniently there. Pours it all over the box that Bray Wyatt is in and sets the box alight. By now, Randy Orton really should be in jail. He's clearly got an arson issue. However, this is the WWE, and being the WWE, all of a sudden Bray Wyatt pops out the box, but not as Bray Wyatt. He is the Fiend, and as the Fiend kind of ascends out of this burning box, him and Randy Orton tussle a bit, and we see a mandible claw like we did last week that, you know, makes Randy Orton pass out, and the Fiend gets another one up on him. Really good segment in terms of how this was framed. You know, I talked about how we got into this hide and seek segment, but this particular segment was really good. And you know, between this and what's happening in the WWE Championship scene, this is what's really carrying Raw. To be honest, this is not great. The Fiend has got one over on Randy Orton twice now. Randy Orton is getting it over on Bray Wyatt, but the Fiend is getting it over Randy Orton. So I think Randy Orton will lose on the weekend. I think the Fiend will beat Randy Orton, but yeah, the Fiend is really just showing his strength at the moment. And these are the kind of interesting storylines he can be involved in, not necessarily anything around the title picture, which kind of becomes unbookable by the time you're doing it. The last match we had on the card on the night was this pointless match between Riddle and MVP. Like I said, Riddle should have just been the guy to tag with New Day, and that could have been done. They could have even made that, you know, a 4-on-4 match. If they wanted to put Jeff Hardy in it, fine, and then Riddle still goes in the match, and then MVP fights with Hurt Business, but they didn't do it. This match literally was not long at all. A minute 30, 2 minutes maximum. Before I knew it, MVP was on the canvas. Riddle went up top and hit a floating bro on MVP and got the pin, walked out with his bro nuts when Bobby Lashley kind of came to the arena late to kind of make the save. Completely pointless. Like I said, should have just been part of another segment and done. But they gave it its own match and didn't give it any time and just made it meaningless, really and truly. Last but not least, we had the WWE Championship Ascension ceremony. AJ Styles came down to the ring. This was kind of being coordinated by Tom Phillips, and Drew McIntyre then came down to the ring, and these guys exchanged words. You know, AJ Styles kind of saying, you know, you took how long to get to the top, basically 19 years and everything like that. Drew McIntyre came back with, I've showed I'm mentally stronger. I lost the championship. I won it back from Randy Orton. I'm not letting this go, sort of thing. So I'm prepared to do whatever come our TLC match on TLC pay-per-view, to do whatever to retain this championship. And as the belt was ascending, I can't remember what AJ Styles said, but he basically it led to Miz and Morrison jumping out from the side of the ring, which they were lurking, waiting by, and all of these three guys attacking Drew McIntyre. Again, just for the record, we saw no show of Sheamus to make a save. Drew McIntyre fought back and took out Miz and Morrison, but AJ Styles got the better of him. AJ Styles beat him with chairs and tables and all sorts of things. Put him through a table with an elbow drop from the ladder, and then climbed up and unhinged the WWE Championship from the little hook it's on, and kind of stood tall at the end of the show. Again, the segment was just a bit too much talking. A lot of the same stuff we've seen with Miz and Morrison getting involved as well. I think these two are going to have a really good match at TLC, in the TLC match, but this was just a bit dry. It was just a bit dry, and it really compounded what was a really dry, uninteresting show. But yeah, guys, that is your Raw review. It's hard for me to even say I hope you enjoyed it, because I didn't enjoy watching Raw. I didn't really enjoy talking back and remembering what happened. But I do think TLC is going to be a decent show. So I hope everyone just tune into TLC and does enjoy it. We're going to get the WWE Championship in a TLC match here. We're going to get the Universal Championship in a TLC match as well. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. So I'm looking forward to those matches at the very, very least. But that is our Raw review, guys. Remember to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the review. Check out the other videos on the channel. I just recently done a break it down for Eddie Guerrero and for Kenny Omega, which is now on the channel as well. Please make sure you check that out, and look out for all the other new content coming to the channel very, very soon. We have Wrestle Extra later on this evening, 6 p.m. GMT, so look out for that as well. And that's it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here as well, please subscribe to the channel. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.